So, welcome back. We are in for legs, well, hamstrings. Hamstring dominant leg day, which is adductors, RDLs, hip thrusts, leg press, single leg press, lying hamstring curl, leg extension, and then calves. So it should be a good session. I've got Lucy, one of my clients, I don't know where she's gone, who's going to train with me. She's got fabulous hamstrings and glutes, so hopefully she'll teach me how to get some fantastic hamstrings and glutes. I've just had my pre-workout, which was 20 grams of pumpage. The recommended servings like 10 grams. I like 20 grams because then I can actually get like a decent pump, especially being a little bit off-seasony. I personally find it really difficult to get a bit of a pump when I'm a little bit chubbier. Also when I'm off cycle, definitely find it hard to get a pump. Obviously the assisted guys probably don't ever have that problem, but probably natural competitors just always have that problem, so must be an awful feeling. So I'm ready to get stuck in. This is the last of our devolume sessions because we've run about 5 weeks where we do full volumes. The 6th week is a devolume. It works really well with regards to our recovery capabilities. Obviously, if we don't need one at that time, we wouldn't take one, but it tends to be what works really well. So I'm going to go through my session, probably break down each exercise because I have a little bit of time since there's a little bit less volume in there. And yeah, just take you through it as we go. One thing I like to be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Restrictive with, especially around a deload, is my caffeine. So I'm very restrictive. I hate to use that word. There's probably a much better word than restrictive in the off season with my caffeine, because it's really a great tool to utilize in prep. Obviously you've got your natural fat burners, pre-workouts, etc. that obviously give you that little bit of go. But one of the best natural tools that you can use is literally coffee. So I like to minimize the amount that I use in an off season so that I can utilize it in prep and it actually does something. And exactly the same in a deload. Like usually I will always have a pre-workout with a little bit of caffeine in it in my deloads because I don't need to get ramped up for my session. I don't do any caffeine pre-workout, so it's always a pump, and then obviously I get a little bit more out of them stimulants when I'm in my full volume training, when obviously adding in that caffeine. And exactly the same for prep. I'll be able to use coffees and stuff around training to be able to help me get through the day without a little bit less of a drag. Adductors. What we're thinking about with adductors, we want to keep our chest nice and tall, tummy nice and tight. We don't really want an arch in the spine. We do want your spine to still remain nice and flat. But if you kind of crunch over and crunch too much, you will use a lot of abs rather than adductors. And then if you turn your toes in, you'll actually find that you use a lot more quad than you do adductor. So you want to keep yourself nice and tall, keep your tummy nice and tight, hold on to the handles nice and tight, keep your toes out slightly, and literally just focus on squeezing your adductors together and then bring them out to the side. When you do your kind of back relaxed shot, if you're a men's open bodybuilder or us as figure athletes or women's physique competitors, the feeling that you get when you squeeze your adductors on stage, that's almost the feeling that you want to feel when you drive your legs together. Lovely stuff, thanks. Thank you. Lovely jubbly. Oh, lovely jubbly. Also, don't let your leg pads meet in the middle. I let mine meet in the middle. That was a naughty on the first rep. RDLs. So what we wanted to focus on with that one is making sure that the shoulder blades don't roll forwards. That doesn't mean kind of really protracting back, but almost thinking about just keeping them squeezed in one locked position. If you round them forwards, you get a bit too much flexion in your spine, so rounded at your spine, and then you start to take a little bit too much tension into your mid-back rather than it being into your glutes and hamstrings. Are you going to get a tiny little bit of rounding in your spine? Yeah, especially if you've got bloody 3-4 plates aside on your back, probably a little bit, yes, but we want to try and minimize it as much as possible to keep as much tension in the glutes and hams as you can, especially since I am doing the RDL for glutes and hamstrings and obviously a little bit of erector as well. When you come down, you want to focus on keeping your knees neutral. Lots of people try to turn their knees out as they come down, and when they come up, it just takes tension away from your glutes because it inhibits your glutes to be able to wrap around your hip, which is obviously what's going to help let the glute work. So make sure your knees stay neutral as your hips drive back and forth. The only thing that you want to think about moving on an RDL is hips driving back, hips driving forwards. What are you doing? Does it feel weird? Does it feel weird?
Yeah.
So hip thrusts. It doesn't matter if you do them on a Smith, a barbell, or with a glute drive. Always remains the same in terms of pointers. You want your knees, hips, and feet to be totally aligned, so nice and neutral in regards to the distance with your feet, so hip width. You want to focus on making sure that the shin stays nice and vertical. You want to make sure that your knees aren't driving backwards and forwards. If they do, they'll take a lot of tension into your quads, which is what you don't want. You do find that someone who's very quick up and down tends to get a lot of knee travel because they're using a lot of momentum. If you do focus on keeping your hips tucked, keeping your tummy nice and tight, being slow and controlled on the way down and up, that you will be able to keep your shins a little bit more vertical and the movement will be harder. You do also want to make sure that you've not got too much back on the bench. If you've got too much back on your bench, it will make the movement easier, and the kind of idea behind any movement is make it as hard and as good as possible. Oh, what a bastard. I keep going a little bit dizzy, that's not good, is it?
No.
Drive. Drive. Nice. Drive. Nice. So next exercise is leg extensions. For this one really it's more of a warm up for my knees before I do leg press. I was finding that I was getting a little bit of knee aggro when I was doing the leg press just because I was going so heavy. So if I kind of pre-fatigue my quads a little bit on the leg extensions, the amount of load that I can be exposed to on there is a little bit lower, so then it just takes a little bit hammer off my knees, which is funny because the leg press is a hammer strength. Funny. Anyway, so we're going to do one set of leg extensions on here, and then we're going to move on to leg press. So, leg extensions, you want to focus on keeping yourself pulled into the pad, core nice and tight, back nice and neutral, no arch, no slouch, so making you stay yourself remain nice and neutral with your spine, so good posture, and then making sure that you get full extension up with your legs, pause, full stretch at the bottom, pause, making sure that there's no momentum reps, making sure that your knees don't turn out, making sure that they stay facing up towards the ceiling so you can keep all the tension into your quads. Deload. For me, this session isn't really, there's not lots of volume in this session anyway. The only two exercises that I would usually have 2 sets on is an additional one on leg press and an additional one on hip thrusts. The remainder of it is still just 1 set anyway. So what I do is I reduce the 2 sets from there, but I also don't push 100% to failure on all of my other exercises. So you'll probably see me leave a rep that I would usually do, like a really slow motion, like trying to get it up type of rep. I won't do that today. That's how I reduce my volume in this session as well, just through not fucking myself really. I'm just asking.
Let's go. Stay tight. Leave it there now.
Oh, look at her. Oh, she looks great.
She looks really confident.
So, leg press. With this one, I tried to do more my back off weight than my top set working weight, just because obviously if we're thinking about volume across the session and loading that I would normally get in the top working set, it's probably beneficial in a deload to do my back off set. So I just did 1 plate less than my working set, managed to get like 14, 15 reps, which I'm really happy with. Not completely fucked me, but still to the point where it hurt. Bodybuilding is always going to hurt a little bit even in a deload. So yeah, now we're going to move on to single leg press as well. Single leg press, we were using it on the pin stack, but it's very difficult to get into the pin stack without getting all in like a little gremlin. So that's why we're using the plate loaded press. I'm very proud. I managed to get double the reps of Mark. He is just Percy's competition and will have just come off all of his assistants, but I'm very proud. If you're watching, Mark, I'm just kidding, love you really. So obviously what we're trying to think about on the single leg press, for me personally, it's more about glutes than anything else. You're always going to target a little bit of quads. When you're doing a leg press, you literally can't get away from it, but you can make it more glute biased by your stance and the way in which you kind of position yourself on a bench. So my stance is a little bit higher. My knees coming in not too much past 90 degrees, but making sure it's coming as deep as it possibly can into my body, nice and slow. Before I begin each rep, I think about tensing my glute, bringing my leg in as I keep tensing my glute. Before I drive the leg back out, don't fully lock it out, kind of keep a slight little bend in the knee. Take a second, squeeze the glute again, go. Oh, thank you. Did Mark only get 8?
I have no idea.
I got 15.
What on earth? 15?
Yeah. A naughty last rep for a deload. Naughty. Probably one of my best sets that I've ever done. Very proud of that. So, leg curl is right at the end. I always find that lots of people really switch off towards the end of their sessions because obviously they've done their main body of work. They're a little bit fatigued. Your last exercise is just as important as your first exercise. So you need to make sure that if you're feeling a little bit fatigued, that you take a second or a minute or two before your next or last exercise, should we say, to make sure that you can get that full focus, make sure that your range of motion is perfect, make sure that your form's perfect, making sure that you're taking the set all the way to failure. Don't switch off because that's a set lost. If you lose or keep losing sets over the course of the year, that's lots of progress lost. Don't let that happen. Oh no, that's alright for me. That's the end of my hamstring session. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully, obviously having a little bit more time because it's usually full volume. With the deload I had a little bit more time to be able to go through each movement and obviously show you bits a little bit more. So I hope you liked it, that it was a little bit more informative rather than just kind of gritting and getting to work. We'll be back for that next session, but that's one of my favourite sessions. I think it's my favourite session because I know it's my weakest area. I love all of my sessions. Every time I come into the gym, I'm like, oh, it's my favourite session, or it's my favourite session. I think it's just, I like to be at the gym. Anyway, this is one of my favourite sessions out of 6. It's 6 favourite sessions, but because my glutes and hamstrings are so shit, or they were the last time I was on stage, so important for me for these sessions to be productive, and they definitely are. Getting stronger, improving, getting thicker on the pictures, and you can see it visually. So yeah, just very happy. Hope you liked it. Please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm going to get stuck into my post-workout. Obviously, if you want to see my full day of eating, please have a little look at Meg's full day of eating in the off-season video that I've already put on the channel. But yeah, please like, share, I've definitely got a list. Please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll be back for another episode.